How did you guys enjoy that? Who picked the third chair before? Joe, why don't you tell us?
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm hand for the star of Attack the Block. He was 17 years old when we shot this. It's his first ever on-camera role. He's 19 now. His name is John Boyega.
Okay, so it's pretty late, so we'll do a quick Q&A, and I'm going to moderate. I'll ask a couple of questions and I'll throw it to you guys, but I'm a bit lazy because it's late, so what I want to do is I want to find people who are going to ask the question that I want to ask. So, put up your hand if you want a question. Okay, man there. Why don't you ask Joe how the idea all came about?
How did it all come about?
What? What? I don't know. I tell you what. Attack the Block came out of my love for 80s American creature features. E.T., Gremlins, Critters, Predator, movies I loved in the 80s, and I'd never seen a story like that fused suburban life with fantasy told in an area where I grew up and where John grew up in South London. So yeah, this is me kind of 25 years later fixing that.
Yeah. It's interesting that Chris has got a bigger response than E.T. It's definitely a Comic-Con crowd. Okay, next question I'm going to give to somebody. Who wants a question? This man. Why don't you ask John Boyega how he first heard about the film?
John, how did you first hear about the film? Good question.
I got a call from my agent, and my agent said there was a film about an alien invasion set in South London, and I thought it was incredibly stupid, and then I got brought in to audition for it. While I was going through the auditioning process, I was at a play at the Transport Theatre in North London, and I was on stage for 10 minutes. Joe came to see it, Lara Park, the producer, came to see it, and Nina Gold, the casting narrator, came to see it. And then after that, I got recall after recall because of this idiot. And then I ended up getting the part, which is great. 6 recalls, come on guys.
Okay, who wants a question? Why don't you ask Joe about the design of the aliens?
Joe, how was how was designing the aliens?
It was fun. No, the alien design, weirdly, it came over a long period of time, but we knew we couldn't afford CGI aliens, and in fact when we tried to raise the money, people would say, how the fuck are you going to do this on this budget with this much creature action? And I remembered as a kid seeing Ralph Bakshi's 80s version of Lord of the Rings, the animated version of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
You know,
when is the second part coming out?
Yeah. And they had an exhibition about the making of it on a barge on the River Thames in London. And they had a whole thing about how rotoscope works. They had a bit of footage showing the live action stuff. They had a bit of footage showing guys colouring it in. And I was a kid, I loved colouring things in. And then they showed you the two combined. And I thought it was an amazing thing to take a three-dimensional image and to make it flat, but yet still, it's kind of like primitive motion capture. And it occurred to me that that kind of animation might fit with live action actually better than CGI fits with live action, because they're both based on genuine human movement. So we figured out a way to use lo-fi CG, almost 2.5D we called it. And we actually used CG to remove detail from what we shot rather than add it. And we stitched that into the whole way we approached the photography of the film. We looked at John Carpenter's The Thing a lot, and the contrast levels in those, in the cinematography there. The blacks are deep black, the snow is bright white, and we tried to get the same level of contrast. Yeah, so that was how the aliens came about. Good question.
Thank you for answering my question.
Thanh you.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about the,
Hey, maybe they've got their own questions.
Okay, I'm going to throw it out. So who has some of their own questions about Attack the Block? This man with his hand right up. You, yeah.
No American remake.
That's a statement, not a question, but we like it.
Who plans to do it in an American form?
No. No. You know, there's something tempting about being paid to do nothing. But isn't that always the case? But no, we're going to resist. No, we're really proud of our film. And may I take this opportunity to say thank you to one man who saw this film at South by Southwest. He knew nothing about it. A lot of people were doubtful about this film. They weren't sure whether it would play. But Clint Culpepper, who is in the room, is Clint in the room right now? Where is he? Where is he? Make yourself known. This man runs Silver Street. And he was the one person who had faith in this film. And picked it up. So thank you, Mr. Culpepper. He's sleeping. Please don't disturb him.
Does anybody else have a statement, stroke question?
In the alien invasion, how many aliens were there?
What do you mean in the story or in the actual
In
making?
the story. And
In the story, I always figured there were maybe about 20 aliens. But watch the film again, and you can count them. Yeah, something like that. But they all, you know, they land around the neighborhood, and they all go straight towards the pheromone. They all focus into the block. If they smell the pheromone on someone, even if that person is, even if it's like secondary contact, they will go up to that individual. When they get closer to the scent and they realize it's not the actual scent, you know, these aliens are interested in fucking or killing, like all of us. When they get close to the individual, when they realize that the pheromone is mixed with a scent that's foreign to them, they will kill. If they got closer and found, you know, the scent just got stronger and stronger, they would make sweet outer space love. But unfortunately, they have alien blue balls through the whole
I want to make for an explosive sequel. This man.
Yeah, you. I thought the soundtrack was brilliant.
Yeah.
I want to know, how did the relationship with Basement Jaxx come about?
Well, the pitch for the soundtrack was always, does anyone know who Roots Maneuver is? Right, Roots Maneuver is an amazing UK artist. And he does kind of...
This man is now the coolest man in the room.
Yeah. No one's heard Roots Maneuver. Start with Witness to Fitness. It's an amazing record. But my pitch was always, what would happen if John Williams and John Carpenter went round to Roots Maneuver's house, got incredibly high, and wrote a score. I wanted to combine the sort of fantasy adventure of a John Williams score with the gritty electronica of John Williams and John Carpenter. And Basement Jaxx, weirdly, their first ever gig they did was in a club that was in Brixton, at the foot of the street where we shot the mugging scene. So it seemed really appropriate that they would get involved, and I was very lucky that they did. And they saw 20 minutes of the film, and I told them verbally what I wanted, and they came back with 4 demos, and the first demo was that riff that you heard in the film, and I was so relieved, because the score to a movie comes late in the day, and it has a huge effect on the tone. So I just think we were really lucky that they got it. So I'm very appreciative that they agreed to do it. And Steve Price, who did the orchestral stuff, who worked on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and the Lord of the Rings movies, the music supervisor who was waiting for his moment to step up and compose. We're very lucky that he chose this movie for his compositional debut. So it was just fortuitousness.
Why don't you tell us about some of the other first-timers on this film?
The DOP, Tom Towning, this is the first theatrical feature film he's ever shot. I was watching TV, he did a Virgin Mobile advert in the UK that was all shot at night. It was stunning, and we were very lucky he agreed. And of course there are 11 first-time young actors between the ages of 10 and 17 in this movie, carrying this movie. And I'm really proud.
As a first-time director, why did you want a first-time DP when you could have used somebody who had experience and could have helped you?
Because you know what, I saw this advert on TV, then everyone said to me, no, you can't be a first-time director with a first-time DOP, that's not right, that won't work, it's too many firsts.
Right.
And so I went through the process of seeing all the other DPs who were available. I knew exactly what I wanted. I needed someone who could shoot at night, and whose nighttime photography was high contrast, had those contrast levels. And nobody did it as well as Tom.
Now before, I was actually pointing at a completely different person. Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. I feel that you had a lot of fun writing the script.
because a lot of the lines are really snappy and they're really, really funny. How did the whole process of writing the story come into play?
I kind of figured out the treatment. I did a 10-page treatment, and then I did a lot of research. And weirdly, that's something that Edgar taught me how to do when we were working on Ant-Man together. So I went into my neighborhood, our neighborhood, and I spoke to hundreds of young people. I had moments from the story illustrated, and I had them, by a friend, I had them blown up onto big bits of card. What's that terrifying noise? And then we, hello, oh, no, not this again. Yeah, and so anyway, I talked them through the story, I recorded everything they said, hundreds of hours of tape. I went home and transposed it myself as if I was learning Italian to get the slang right, or French or something. And some of the lines in the movie are actually from the mouths of these local kids. You'd be better off calling the Ghostbusters. Too much madness for one text. They were all things that were actually said to me during these research sessions. And then I tweaked them, you know, and then the cast, the last 2 drafts were written after John and the rest of the cast came on board and we went through. Will you just say something about that, John, the process we went through together on the script?
We just tweaked a couple of lines, that's about it.
We went through every character, every line of every character, and every performer had the chance to shape them and change them as they wanted, so they felt comfortable with the dialogue. Obviously, I'm younger than John, and I'm hipper. I know the slang a lot better, so he needed help. But you know, we came through in the end.